Welcome to Tea with Tuniscia. Oh, you guys, we have a great topic. We are going to jump right into it. So welcome. I'm Tuniscia O. You know this guy is Ike O. I'm the author of Empowered Stepmother. This is a book that shares my journey as a stepmother through stepmotherhood. The things that I wish I knew, I decided to put it in a book and share it. I'm also a coach for stepmothers. So if you know any stepmothers who are truly struggling, I am more than welcome to help them. But for now, we are going to jump into this good topic here. So today we're going to talk about how parents can positively communicate with their children when they get off track. That seems to be a big one, right? Because kids get off track and we all get off track as adults, all this. So this is for children, but some of this might be able to help us as adults as well. So Ike, what do you have for number one?
So for number one, I would say be honest with the child. What I mean by being honest with your child, I mean by telling them when they have messed up and telling them when they have failed. Don't tell them that when they fail, don't tell them you did okay or you did a great job when you know in your heart that they didn't do a great job.
Okay. This is good. This is touchy because some parents feel like you don't want to lower the child's self-esteem. But what happens when a parent isn't honest about a child's progress and they keep telling them that they're doing good when really they're not? How can that impact the child?
Well, then the child, when they're talking to themselves, the child would say, if they didn't do the right thing, the child would say, I did okay, I'm doing great, I'm doing okay. Because the child would say that because the parent is always telling them that.
So it teaches them to lie to themselves. We talked about being thorough, right?
Right.
So it teaches them what? Give an example.
So let's say the child didn't do their homework and the teacher calls the parents because the child didn't do the homework.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the parents asking them why didn't they do the homework, or we're going to do the homework today so you can turn it in the next day,
mm-hmm.
they would say, you did okay. It's not your fault that you didn't do your homework if you didn't understand. Basically, making excuses for the child.
Making excuses. That's a good one. So how about when a child says, I did my best, but they failed the test? If a child failed a test and they say, I did my best, and the parent says, yeah, I know you did your best, how do you think that can impact them if failing a test is them doing their best? And I'm not saying that somebody didn't do their best, but if you've done your best in your mind and you failed the test and you say, oh, well, I tried, I did my best, and you failed. If a parent agrees with that, what do you think of that?
Well, first, the child won't be able to get better at what they failed at because they're thinking that they did a wonderful job on it. Even though they failed.
So what is a different way that they can still acknowledge that they did try, but what's a different way that they could word that?
They could say, I know that I tried. Next time I'm going to focus more. I'm going to study harder and I'm going to ask more questions.
So what can you think could be the downside of someone saying, I did my best and they failed, but they say they did their best? What could be the downside to saying you did your best? What could you be telling your mind?
You could be telling your mind when you fail that you're best.
Yeah. So if you tell yourself, my best is failure, where do you have room to grow?
There's no room.
Because you just told yourself, I did my best, I tried, I failed, and there's nowhere to go with that. You can't go up. However, if your self-talk was, you know what, I did fail, but I'm going to work harder. Now I know what I need to study. Now I need to do better. Now you can talk to yourself. Your self-talk is going to shift so that you don't tell yourself that failure is the best that you can do. Because then you just get comfortable with failing as long as you can use the term to say, I tried, I failed. Oh, well, I failed. And then you just go through life failing. And it's because you've gotten comfortable with failing as opposed to saying, you know what, I get to work differently next time. I get to work harder, or I get to do something differently in order to succeed or excel, right?
Right.
Because if a person wants to be on a football team really badly and they don't make the football team, and then they decide, oh, well, I did my best. Oh, well, I'll just go out next year. But they don't practice. They don't condition. They don't do anything in between those seasons to get better. Are they making the team the next year?
No.
But is that what people do?
Yes, it is.
It is. But the people who really want it, that's not what they do. What they do is they go home, they grind hard, they work hard. And for some reason, people in our society seem to understand it when it comes to working hard and grinding hard when it comes to sports. Oh, you want to make the team? You got to work hard. You didn't make the team. You got to do it better. You got to do it better. But when it comes to a test, it's okay to say, oh, well. When it comes to a business that didn't succeed, it's okay to say it was everybody else's fault I didn't succeed. As opposed to saying, you know what? I didn't wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't grind as hard as I should have. I didn't contact people consistently. I just sat at home watching TV and surfing on the internet and scrolling through my social media to see if anybody wanted to buy what I was selling. That's a good way to make an excuse as to why you're failing, right?
Right.
And to say, it's not my fault, right?
Right.
What's next, my love?
So the last one is remaining positive.
Did we already go through 2? You put a 2 for 1. You did a 2 for 1?
Yes, we did.
Good job. 2 for 1. Hey, we're going to get y'all out of here today. What you got, my love?
Remaining positive.
Talk to me about that.
So when you're remaining positive with your child, telling them that they messed up, it tells the child, okay, well, I know I messed up on this, but I'm not. My behavior is not me. It's just
okay.
I did bad, but that doesn't like
your
that
behavior was bad, but you're not a bad
not
person.
Bad. Right.
Yes. Talk to me about that.
So Mom was actually telling me this as well. And when your behavior is bad, but you're not a bad person, then it tells you that, okay, if I don't want my behavior to be bad, then I need to change that. If I don't want other people to think, oh, his behavior is bad, so he's a bad person, I need to change my behavior. Because when I change my behavior, it changes what other people think. I'm not saying that you should really worry about what other people think.
Good.
But when you change your behavior, then you're able to be positive with yourself as well.
Yeah, because sometimes your behavior is disrupting a class. Sometimes a child's behavior is disrupting a parent's ability to be able to parent the other children. You know, behavior can impact other people, not just ourselves. So talk to me about some of the things that, and this topic came up just like Ike is sharing. One of the things, parents, that I would suggest that we do here is, you know, when your children get into things, because they're going to get into things, right? Things are going to happen. And if we always tell them, don't worry, life's going to be perfect, you're never going to get anything wrong, or you just did a little bit of thing wrong when they really did something massive wrong, or we tell them, it's okay, you didn't succeed this time. Sometimes when it's age appropriate, we should tell a child, you failed at doing that. Does that make you a failure?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. You failed to make your bed. Sometimes when you say you didn't make your bed, it sounds soft. When you say you failed to make your bed, you understand. You failed to wash the dishes properly. You failed to sweep the floor properly. The reason why I in my house use the word fail and explain to my babies very clearly, you are not a failure, is on purpose. Why do I intentionally use the word fail? What is it teaching you?
So that when someone else says that we fail, then we're not going to be all soft and traumatized about it, because we know that when we fail, when we're failing, we're not a failure.
Yes. And when you failed something, what does that mean? What are you invited to do?
Do something different.
Yeah. Edison, 10,000 times, he failed to get the electricity right, but he finally got it right after 10,000 times. He knew that there was just a different way that he gets to do it. So if I'm failing at something, if I fail to complete something, I don't see myself as a failure. I am not a failure. I am just now invited to do something different in a different way. Now I know, okay, that way didn't work. Let me do it a different way. If it's a test that you failed, instead of being traumatized, seeing yourself as a failure, you now just have another way of studying, because the one that you're doing, or maybe not doing it at all, isn't working. You know, it's just a mindset thing to kind of look at things differently. So back to the one you just said. What was the one?
Remaining positive.
Yes. So remaining positive, parents. So here's the deal. What I suggest, and Ike, please chime in on what you think. You know, when your child is just spiraling and maybe there's just something negative happening, you can't figure out what's going on. You're wondering, why do they keep going downhill? You might think it's fine. You're going to be great. And kids need positive reinforcement. They also need a balance of reality. So one of the ways that you can get a clear understanding of what they're thinking is an exercise that I'll have Ike do. The big kids do it too. Write down, what's the exercise? What do you write down first?
We write down a positive. Write down a negative.
The things that you think
that are negative
about yourself.
About ourselves. And then we write down the things that we think are positive about ourselves.
But before you go on, write down the things that you find that you think are negative about yourself. But be sure to have a situation to go with it. So it's not just a blanket statement, I'm dumb, or I'm this, or I'm that. I'm dumb isn't one of the ones that are going to be shouldn't be on a statement. But if that's what you think of yourself, I hope not. But that's not something that is on our kids' things. But they're behavioral things. And so they'll list what goes with that, right? So then they go back and they're able to say, okay, then I'll say, okay, so tell me the positive things about yourself. If the positive things are 2 items, and the negative things are 10 items. Parents, what that's telling us is that our children have a low self-image. And so now we get to work with them on shifting their own self-image. Because as long as they have a low self-image, what is always going to come out is negativity. They can't bring out positivity when they're constantly only thinking negative thoughts about themselves. It's impossible. So that's the way you can flip that around to bring out some positivity in a situation, right? What do you think? And does that exercise help you?
Yes, it does.
Talk to us.
Because when you're able to write down the things that you think are negative about yourself, things you think that are positive about yourself, you're able to let it out and not keep it in. Even though some children may not want to tell their parents, but if they write it on paper, that could be easier for them.
That's true. Writing. We do a lot of writing.
Yes, we do.
Daddy always says, you write so much. I'm a writer. I like writing. So these are our thoughts. These are our tips and tricks. So I break them down to 3. You tried to skip one. The 3, what are they?
So they are, parents, don't lie to your child.
So be honest about where they are with their behavior in a nice, age-appropriate way. Be sweet to them.
So remaining positive.
And still delivering.
Right. And still delivering what they did. And then self-talk. Yeah,
talking them through their self-talk. We spend more time with ourselves than anyone else. Just like I explained to Ike, I was like, even when you go to school, you're alone. When you're home, even if I'm working and you're at the table doing homework, we're quiet. And so you're doing your own thinking. You're still with your own thoughts. Our thoughts create. So parents, some of this is us. Like, what do we think of ourselves? These are some of the habits that we can shift within ourselves. Some of the exercises we can do together. Some of these exercises we all do together. So anyway, from our family to yours, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I hope that this helps somebody. It helps a great family. If you love what we're doing and what we're teaching, invest in this book, Empowered Stepmothers. Support our Blending Our Love message as we share it with the world. I'm Tuniscia O.
And Ike O.
From our family to yours, we love you. Ciao.